Hello. It's been a while. My phone ran out of space to film on, and my photos and videos aren't uploading to my laptop, so I just did not have a way to film. So I'm just gonna do quick fire reviews of the last books. I am now recording on a camera, so I get to use my phone. Anyways, I think we left off in August, so I'm gonna go on story graph, because you can do that by months. So September, I read a total of 0 books, which is why I was not concerned about my recording abilities in September. Oh wait, I'm in 2023. God, I don't know how this app works. September. Yeah, so I still read 0 books in September of 2022. October, I read 4 books. I read the Foxhole Court trilogy again, because I'm a basic bitch, and those books are my drug. And I also read a book called Hate Fuck. It's part of the Forbidden Bodyguard series by Ainsley Booth. I had actually been reading that book over the course of the year. It was on my phone on Kindle. I think I got it as a free Kindle book. I don't know. It delivered what I expected sometimes. The main character was, what was her name? Haley. And her family is like big in the political scene, and her sister like fucks the vice president and makes a sex tape or something, so they all need bodyguards, I think. And her bodyguard is Cole, a sexy man who she falls in love with. And I don't know, it was a bit cheesy, a bit long. There were several parts where I thought, okay, is this over? But I was only at like 64%. It wasn't bad. I knew what I was going into reading a book called Hate Fuck. But there was no hate. Enemies to lovers, where? It's horny to fuckers. I think authors need to just start owning up to that, because every enemies to lovers I've ever read that's like a contemporary one has been horny to fuckers. It's never enemies to lovers, so. There was a part where Haley gets kidnapped. I thought that was gonna last a lot longer. It did not. It was like 2 chapters and then it was over. And also sometimes Cole would be like, when they're going at it, he'd be like, don't make me punish you, baby. And then she'd be all like, what if you have to? And then he never would. They would just bang normally. So, that's, I don't know, there was a lot of smut. Hi, Grandma. Please ignore this. The Foxhole Court trilogy, we all know, 10 out of 10 would read again. I definitely have new copies that I got for Christmas to annotate, so my original copies can just stay slightly dirty, but clean on the inside. I don't know, the covers are weird material, and they just, since they're white, they're looking worn. Neil Jostin remains #1 dumb bitch. That man, very stressful. So that's my review of those. Moving on to November, I read 2 books, and they were Animorphs, The Conspiracy, Book 31, and The Raven Cycle, Book 1, The Raven Boys, which I annotated for my cousin for Christmas. I was gonna do the whole series, and then Christmas at work just slammed me a lot more than I was expecting, so I'd come home and just go to bed. So, he's getting the other books soon-ish, whenever I read them. But hopefully he likes those, because I love that book. Gonzi, forever #1 rich boy of my heart. Yeah. The Conspiracy, Animorphs 31, was fucking dark. Those books always throw me off. Because, you know, they're middle grade, fun, like, ooh, hee hee, we can turn into animals. And then this book, Jake was like, should I kill my brother or risk him killing my father? And it was like, okay, fuck, I don't know. So that was stressful. I am actually restarting the Animorph books. I'm hoping to read them all this year with a friend. We'll see how that works out. I'm about halfway through the first book. There's a lot of things that I'm catching on to because I've read more books now, and it hurts, so that's fun. In December, despite being slammed at work, I read 6 books. It was actually shocking. Let's see. I read The Bone Maker, which I was reading for a few months. That one had such a cool concept. It's like set 25 years after a war. I think it's 25. And it's like the heroes of that war kind of coming back together, because just because the war's over doesn't mean the trauma is, and just because someone said the end doesn't mean it's actually over, because the bad guy has come back from the dead. Which is cool. It was a very cool concept. The magic in this world was so intriguing. The world itself, I didn't understand. Like, I don't think they had technology, but they had, like, trams, and, like, I think it was controlled by bone magic, but I don't really know. The first few chapters, emotionally devastating. I was heartbroken. I was like, how am I going to read this? I'm going to be sobbing. And then I just kind of stopped caring, especially once the villain came back. Because even though, spoiler alert, the villain was like controlling everyone through bone magic, and that's why the government was like, yeah, we're going to let this genocidal maniac back into our lives and we're going to forgive him. It was just like, really? You're like, really? That's where we're at? And then people were, like, liking him because, oh, he can bring people back from the dead, because he came back from the dead. And also the main character, I forget her name, brought her husband back from the dead. Which is, like, highly illegal, because he died during the original war. And every time you bring someone back, your life gets cut in half, because you're, like, sharing your life with them. So it had the potential to be so cool. I feel like if they didn't have the villain come back, if this was just a book about the main character and her husband trying to figure out life now that he's back permanently, and her life is now like cut in half and they're gonna die at the same time, but he doesn't actually know that that's the price of this magic. Like, if it was just them trying to figure that out and him finding out and them, I don't know, doing something, it would have been a lot better, because that's what I really cared about. But alas, there was drama for nothing. And then I read Radio Silence. Again, that book is good. I highlighted it this time. It's a really sad book. And I read a book called Jump Cut. It is a Criminal Minds novelization. And it was hilarious. That book was so funny. There was this scene, if you've seen Criminal Minds, it's just another, like, FBI cop show. Solve murders or kidnappings. There's this character, Morgan. Derek Morgan. He's great in the show. In the book, he was fucking hilarious. There's a scene where one of the FBI agents, JJ, and the random female cop of the week are, like, going to go talk to the media about this dead body they found in this abandoned house, and Morgan is just like, oh, the world is darker now that they're not here, like this house behind me where we found a dead body. Like, what are you talking about? It was so random, but so funny. And then every time it introduced a character, or like sometimes even just after that, when the character pops up, it would be like, Supervisory Secret, like, Special Agent Reed, Dr. Reed, Supervisory Special Agent Aaron Hotchner, and it always said Hotchner, not Hotch, which if you've seen the show, it's Hotch. They call him Hotch, they shorten it. They did not in the book, and it was very funny. 10 out of 10. I have the other 2 books. They only made 3. I'm excited to read them. And then I read a book called Between You, Me, and the Honeybees. And I have been waiting for this book. I was so scared. Because every book I've anticipated in the last couple of years has been garbage. This one made me cry. It was so good. It's about a girl named, I think it's Josie. Josie, yep. And she wants to be a beekeeper. And then she falls in love with her neighbor, like her beekeepers, what is it? Like a Romeo and Juliet kind of thing, where their families hate each other because they're both beekeepers, and there's some like history. I forget the dude's name. That's not good. I really don't remember what his name was.